do and then call it a day. By the way, if you like the DC content as well as Marvel, then make sure to subscribe since you decided to click on the video at the very least. Now, Buddy Baker in his original comics has quite a decent amount of feats, so without further ado, let's begin. He's able to absorb or copy the agility of a cat while falling from saving a cat off of a tree, landing on his legs. He's able to breathe underwater like a fish by copying such ability. He can fly, move as fast as an ant would move in comparison to its lower surroundings based on size ratio. He can copy their speed and use it based on his own size ratio. He's able to copy the scent trail or tracking sense of a dog. He can amplify his strength by just using that of a larger animal, or smaller animals with the same racial formats as ants or the mantis can lift things a lot bigger than them. He can regenerate by copying the regenerative attributes of the earthworm. He can connect with the human body systems, as shown here, to be used for internal virus healing. Even when erased from the narrative drawing wise, his consciousness is still able to fathom and communicate beyond physicality. By using the self-replicating abilities of bacteria, he was able to clone himself a lot, like some shadow clone jutsu. Within the white room in a spaceship, we see these yellow aliens. Buddy Baker is told that this white room is the physical manifestation of what it feels or looks like, to be more precise, to experience the creation and destruction of reality, seemingly in form of a paradox. His animal powers comes from this thing called the morphogenetic grafts, which had been destroyed. These yellow aliens have to build him again, as they did years ago after creation or an extent of it, majorly the bleed, which I would explain later for those who aren't swift enough. They took his spirit into the templates, and he was told to use his imagination to bind the fabrics of reality, which he is somewhat the only one capable of doing that. Through the morphogenetic field, Buddy Baker is able to reach out to the quantum realm with its own planets and stars, and even touch the stars with planets forming the rings, or in other words, a whole solar system. He is the totem of all animals within the template. This is something I will explain later. Buddy Baker isn't bound by the panels of the narrative, of his own narrative, in the sense that he is beyond the panels, as he can stand apart of the panels. Remember the scan I showed and stated he was erased from the narrative not too long ago? Well, that links to this. As we can see, this monkey that is writing the narrative of his story. The monkey dies after Buddy Baker comes there again, and if you have read it, or even from the feats I have been mentioning, you must have realized that the narrative is slowly going deeper into the entire context of the morphogenetic field, which I am saving to explain better after mentioning the feats, but I need you all to follow up. If not, what's the point? The first time we noticed he sort of got erased from the narrative after this scene of this hand drawing the blood of the wolf. Well, Buddy went into comic book limbo. This is where forgotten characters go, and it is beyond the God's Fair, but not an Alif gap, just fictional transcendence. But this is something I will explain well in my final cosmology video. The dead monkey died because Buddy finally started reaching his true powers, and he went beyond the need of the monkey, who basically is the fictional author of Grant Morrison. From here on, Buddy goes on to meet Morrison himself, who stopped writing with his monkey avatar in chapter 25, but showed himself in the last one or two he had left to cover up. Buddy had reached this point where he goes beyond the need for an assistant fictional writer of Grant or any other one per se. For now, that's the best I can explain it. He's able to make use of the time perception of a fly for faster reaction speeds. He can even reach out to Stegosaurus and rhino mixed for invulnerability via the morphogenetic field. He can turn parts of his body into that of an animal, as well as filling every creature within the ocean. He can reach into the primitive or animal instinct or level within humanity or humans to gain control over them, calming down, like calming them down as he did to Maxine, his daughter. If you remember the part of the yellow aliens who can fathom the destruction of the bleed or part of creation, they are just part of Buddy Baker's mind, from his unconscious thoughts, in order for them to explain things he can't fathom by naturally thinking about them, without him even knowing or trying. Yet these same beings can wipe characters down to the comic book limbo. Body's life body's life energy can wander around in a corporeal form of an animal, while his awareness, which is the unconscious mind, stands in the hidden place stated to be where all old men of the beginning dwell. This is also something I will be explaining very well, as I know a lot of DC fans probably do not grasp how all these concepts link together. We have Antagon, who is the dark side of God, who rages against the light of creation. Just as it took God 7 days to make his creation, it is taking Antagon 7 to end it. I'm just gonna drop these scans here explaining the relationship between Antagon and the animal masters, who are there to protect creation and create animals to the point of the morphogenetic field. Either ways, the new animal masters were given the task to use imagination to create a whole new universe, but that was just to destroy the body of Antagon, and as he took over a new one, he literally destroys everything within the M field, as that's the throat of creation itself, and that's where they beat him as they recreated everything again. Buddy Baker isn't bound by death at any time he dies. He just comes back, and even all things must die, except Buddy Baker. He's able to transfer his consciousness from one animal to another, even prehistoric fossils of dinosaurs, rendering them life, but with his consciousness. I think we have reached the point where I stop mentioning just Feats and give you all some breakdown with Feats on certain main contexts. How about we start off with the morphogenetic field? We have indeed done some justice to it earlier on, but I just want to explain it since I have given all the scans I sort of have on it, but more might come up, who knows. The morphogenetic field is this place which holds the template, which holds the totem, as we saw earlier. The totems are these spiritual animals, and different breeds of animals are assigned to humans like these spiritual animal things humans do on this planet, like in real life. The template is the entirety of all, and the morphogenetic field has linkage to all these animals since the dawn of time. It is also linked to the red, and as Buddy Baker is one of the animal masters and the most powerful for that matter, even above Antagon, and yes, including the presence if you take it a bit deeper. The morphogenetic field, as we have seen a lot of times, grants him access to abilities of animals at will. Now, as I promised in my Swamp Thing video, to touch up on the red. If you haven't watched it, then please go do so. It is linked down below. The red is something quite broad but simple with many details. I will make this as comprehensible as much as I can. The red is this place where all the animal men from dawn of existence exist. The red is also known as parliament of limbs, which has to do with anything that can bleed, be it metaphysical, on cosmic scales, or even as little as worms go and way smaller. As far as the morphogenetic field goes, which we see it sort of caps at the comic book limbo tier, the red extends outside the morphogenetic field, which of course Buddy Baker uses all as he was temporarily an avatar or agent of the red, while his daughter Maxine, who is actually extremely powerful, even above Buddy Baker, but she is too young Through the red, body can reach out to every living thing and even contaminate them. Now, we actually just touched the surface of the red. The red has two main important and most confusing aspects, which are the red dreaming and the life web. Okay, not exactly the life web, but mainly the red dreaming and the kingdoms. But let's just dive in. Which are connected to the totem from the Spider Queen. Body Baker is the bridge between the red dreaming and the animal consciousness. The red dreaming is a place where all life experience interconnection. Now, this links, of course, to Dream of the Endless and Hecate. To be honest, I feel like touching this in my dream video, but or my endless video, but pushing things too much would just pile it up for me. The red dreaming simply is a way of truly reaching out to all of creation through the unconscious mind. The linkage between all these is done by the life web, which would be touched up on a bit. Now let's get into the kingdoms. In short, this has something to do with the shamanic powers of rebirth in the sense that a shamanic is that who dies and can visit the three realms, which we actually have seen throughout, but not everyone is actually smart enough to see the obvious narratives, even when it is pointed out or remember the previous dialogue of hundreds of pages backwards. The lower realm is hell, and this is based on quantum physics as we saw that time, which had to do with the totem and template. Also note that the morphogenetic field deals with Platonic archetypes of Plato, and that's what DC cosmology is built around alongside vibrational frequencies, as shown in my Swamp Thing video and Multiversity. The middle realm is the bleed space, which we know is the third dimension, which the yellow aliens was helping Body Baker to recreate. But the thing is that the humans rank above, but not by explosives, but because we have established severally, and in my recent videos, which is Swamp Thing, that the human's mind created the god, but this is contradicted further in the Swamp Thing video that God created of Swamp Thing comics that God created man, which is a lie as recently and most consistently with other old and new comics. Hecate did create them all. But you can easily deduce that it is no contradiction, but that would be explained in my cosmology video. Finally, you have heaven. Not the heaven presence stays in, as even the likes of animal man predates the presence with feet alone. We are talking about the Yggdrasil here, the world tree, which extends beyond creation. But like I said in my Swamp Thing video, this would be done in my cosmology video. This, as a whole, is known as the imaginal realms. I guess y'all are catching up now. The imaginal realms, which is the imaginal realm, which is the dreaming, holds all these simple holds all these simply because everything birthed from the collective unconscious, which we will get to in the next scans. I think this was also pointed out in my Swamp Thing video. And now you guys see how I have been able to break this whole thing down, but bit by bit. The imaginal realms is basically DC as a whole, including the world tree which exists beyond the presence, and note that for the dream part, it isn't really the handwork of Dream of the Endless, but Hecate uses these dreams to shape creation, which has been established a lot of times. In fact, there are too many rivals of God that you can't make argument for him, which is blatantly obvious via consistency of several contexts deductively. The Spider Queen spawns her life web across all of the imaginal realms. We then see this concept of a meme that waited beyond creation, beyond time and space of the three kingdoms. This meme existed as an idea of conceptual hierarchy transcendence of layers upon layers of planes of existence, and one plane can birth an infinite amount of other planes. As her webs cross time and space of all realities, she kills the shaman, who is Body Baker, who of course gets reborn as he is meant to. He is told that his body is the microcosm of the universe. It is the body of God. The nerves in his body are the very fabrics of creation, tying together the three kingdoms as we know already: mind, energy, and spirit. As he was about to get reborn as the soul of the world, his consciousness came back as he realized that he can just wield the body of God on top of his own powers. He literally just one-shot the Spider Queen by eating her. Buddy Baker is easily high autoversal. Well, thanks for those who actually watched through and listen. If you're new, please do subscribe. You can support the channel and see you next time. Peace.